Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel dedicated to 1 to 144 aircraft model kit building. Today, I chose to make this little tiny kit from Mark I models, the Mirage III C at 1 to 144 scale. I am presenting you a full build slideshow of the kit building. The kit is numbered MKM 14492, and will include variants for either the French Air Force or the Swiss Air Force. 3 liveries for the French Air Force are proposed, and 1 for the Swiss Air Force. I selected an unusual paint scheme from the Swiss Air Force, in a shiny yellow and orange livery. In 1961 the Swiss initially purchased a single Mirage III C from France, J2201, to use as the basis for license production of the Mirage III S by the Federal Government Aircraft Factory, in Emmen. The test plane was transferred to GRD Armament Service later on, where it received its special blue meat livery. The very model is now on display at the Fairzeg Museum Bereitswil in Switzerland. Unfortunately, the outside long storage resulted in color fading. The plane was then sanded and retrieved its original aluminium color skin. In the 2000s, the plane was put on display in the Fliegermuseum du Bendorf, the museum of the Swiss Air Force near Zurich. The kit comes bagged in plastic. Looks nice for such a small kit. Instructions are apart in the box. Sprue seams without flashes, well molded, transparent parts are bagged apart. Decals looks fine and well designed. There is only 4 steps, but as I chose not to add any armament or fuel tanks, it will be a 3 steps job for me. A closer look at the sprues reveals some minor flashes and some very minor injection defects of the styrene, but nothing blamable due to the very small size of the kit. I will correct these defects by proper sanding afterwards. Let's start. The inside of the cockpit and the seat were brushed paint in flat black using Rayval Aquacolor 08. Small pieces are put on the back side of a masking tape to make the job easier. I then glued with Rayval contact to glue the stick, left in original plastic gray, to be able to paint in matte black the handle. The inlet side of the gas exhaust was airbrushed with a mix of dark steel, Aquacolor 91, and anthracite, Aquacolor 09. The engine exhaust was painted in anthracite only. I sanded the exhaust to make it thinner and more realistic with respect to the small scale. Then, I could have glued together the 2 halves of the exhaust and airbrushed it, as well as the landing gears parts and doors and the inside of the air intakes. It was done after sanding to eliminate small flashes and for perfect fitting and alignment of parts. I used a 50-50% mix of fern and mossy green, Aquacolor 360 and 62, to make the seat color. While the seat paint was drying, I put the cockpit instrument decals using Tamiya Strong Fit plasticizer for the decal to perfectly fit the instrument panel shapes. When all the cockpit parts were dry, I made the dry brushing of the it with aluminium, Aquacolor 99, for a better future render and eldering. After gluing the build cockpit in one of the halves, I weighted the nose with cut staples iron and plasticine, and a 4mm bolt in the back of the cockpit, using again plasticine and contacted glue. Then, the 2 halves have been glued together, as well as the air intakes. After 24 hours, I could have sanded the fuselage where needed, and re-engraved the panel lines with Rayval's engraving tool. At the end, air intakes and the wings were glued to the fuselage. As the gaps were not large at all, I used the contacted glue as putty as it melts down the styrene. It was sanded again after 1 day. I made my own masks for the canopy, and gently sawed it to make it in an opened position in the final kit. The parts were put on a tape and airbrushed first in matte black, Aquacolor 08, for the inside rendering of the canopy. I also painted the dashboard top. I could have then glued the canopy front, and put plasticine in the cockpit area to protect it for future paint, and use it also to maintain the canopy. In between, I used anthracite, Aquacolor 09, for the tires, having diluted it for better fitting with the rims. Consistency should be a bit more liquid than the one needed for the airbrush. As the rendering was too light as pigment concentration was low, the second step was to finish painting with a 1:1 dilution, avoiding the rim's edges. As this work required precision, I did it under a 10 times magnifying lamp. The model was primed using Tamiya XF2 flat white. After 24 hours drying, I could have applied the first color, using the glossy yellow Aquacolor 12. 2 days after, masks were put for the future orange layer. I used Dremel masking tape for straight masking or tailored cut masks, and Tamiya bendable masking tape to follow the upper backline and the carmine. I used Aquacolor 30 glossy orange for the second paint layer. Masks are removed after the paint dried for 3 hours. I let it dry for another 2 days for the acrylic polymer to perfectly form film and harden. I then masked the parts of the vertical stabilizer, which should be painted in light gray, Aquacolor 371, and the front section of the plane and radome, which will be in glossy black. The paint was airbrushed, and the thin black line over the leading edge of the tail brushed with a 02 brush. After masks and plasticine removal, result is okay. It is time for decals placement. I started by the bottom, using Tamiya's Strong Mark Fit as plasticizer for the decals to follow lines, engravings and fuselage shape, particularly for the Edelweiss flower to fit the shape of the rocket engine compartment. Unfortunately, I damaged this decal by overdosing the plasticizer. I will have to paint the chips. I then finished all decals placement, always using Tamiya's Strong Fit. I made the chipping around the air brakes, the air intakes and the wings leading edges as dry brush using silver paint, Aquacolor 90, and then applied my homemade weathering wash, which was consisting of dark black pigments from Rayvale, water and 2 droplets of liquid soap to increase surface tension and a better placement of the wash in the panel lines. Canopy is masked again, and a glossy clear varnish, Aquacolor 01, is sprayed to glue the pigment. When the varnish is perfectly dried, it is time to build the undercarriage. I glued the main landing gear a bit inward to comply with plans I found on the net. The fully built model is presented. The fully built model is presented along with a 1 Turkish lira and a 2 euros coins for size comparison. Some details of the cockpit and exhaust inside. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please don't forget to like or subscribe.